Hi, I'm Chris Duel. One of my favorite books ever I first read in the late 1970s when I was a cadet at the Air Force Academy just north of Colorado Springs, Colorado. The book was about a pilot. In fact, it was a book about a couple of pilots. The book, and it's become fairly famous over the years, and I think with good reason, is Illusions by Richard Bach. In the book, Richard Bach, as himself, is a pilot kind of barnstorming across middle America in a biplane that he would land in fields and give people a ride in the sky for $3 or so. And he meets another pilot out in a field once, and they start flying together, and the more he gets to know this other pilot named Donald Shimoda, the more Richard Bach realizes there's something very, very special about this guy. This guy seems to know all the answers of life. This guy can almost seem to perform miracles in his life. And crowds began to gather around Donald Shimoda. People started thinking he was an avatar or he was a messiah. And there's a point in the book where Richard Bach says, "How do you learn all this stuff?" And Shimoda says to him, "Well, they give you a book to read." And that book turns out to be The Messiah's Handbook. In fact, many years later, Richard Bach put out the contents of that book, The Messiah's Handbook, which is also a tremendous read. But at the end of the story, and essentially at the end of this book, something very cataclysmic happens. Most of you have read the book. I'll let you read the book if you want to find out what that is. And then he flips to the final page, Richard Bach does, of the Messiah's Handbook of Donald Shimoda, and he reads what to me is the greatest ending line in the history of literature, at least for me. When I read it, I went, yeah, exactly. Here, I'm going to bring this close to the camera so you can see what the line is. Here's the line. See that? Right there. Everything in this book may be wrong. Wow. Not a lot of books that have that in it. And this was a Messiah's Handbook. You know, we live in an era, I think now more than ever, with the 24-hour news cycle and arguing talking heads on television and on the radio. Everybody thinks they're absolutely right. And their position, their philosophy, their doctrine, the things they believe are absolutely right. They can't be wrong. I'm staking my life on this being right. It's interesting, in the Messiah's Handbook that was released later by Richard Bach, in the introduction, he talks about those words in that book. And I'll read you the paragraph written by Richard Bach. Everything in this book may be wrong, sure enough, but everything may be right as well. Right and wrongs are not up to a book. I'm the only one to say what's true for me. I'm responsible. You are responsible through your direct experience to determine what is right and what is wrong, whether it's in a book or whether it's in something someone told you. Find out for yourself. Thanks for taking the time. I enjoy that you watch this, and I love feedback. I'd love to know what you think, because everything in this video may be wrong. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.